Okay, so this time you have an informational book titled Why Do I Have to by Kitty Colton. So the inside back cover of the book, I'll read to you. It says, why sharing germs? Why should you never dip a chip twice? In a word, germs. Scientists have studied the effects of double and triple dipping. And their findings aren't pretty or appetizing. They asked volunteers to bite into 6 crackers. Then the volunteers dipped into each cracker in a different substance, including chocolate syrup, water, cheese dip, and salsa. Then each volunteer took another bite. They repeated the process several times. Then the volunteers dipped 6 fresh, unbitten crackers into the same substances and took a bite. Next, the scientists measured the amount of bacteria in the dips and in the volunteers' mouths. The findings might turn you off of dipping forever. On average, dipping a cracker 3 to 6 times transferred about 10,000 bacteria from the eater's mouth to the dip. Salsa picked up the most bacteria per dip. Maybe you should stick to the olive bowl. Oh, that's kind of disgusting. So this book is all about the scientific evidence behind what people tell you that you should or should not do. Okay, so on the back cover of the book, you can see, let's get to the back cover. So here's the back cover. I don't know if you can see that very well. It says, when you're a kid, you're bound to hear do this and don't do that on a daily basis. Do you ever wonder about the whys behind all those do's and don'ts? It turns out that there are solid scientific reasons behind the things grown-ups say. Well, behind most of them at least. Okay, so what are some of the things that maybe you're told to do? You know, like sitting up straight or sitting too close to the television or don't cross your eyes because they're going to get stuck like that. Things like that. Okay, and if you look at the cover of the book, let's look back at the cover. What's the girl doing there? What do you think someone might tell her? Probably not to turn the music up too loud, right? I know sometimes if we can hear what someone else is listening to on the headphones, we'll say, you've got it too loud, turn it down. So let's take a look at that table of contents. I know it's kind of small in this view. If you're in class, you can see, in the actual book, you can see it larger. So here you'll see all of the have-tos. So read down the list and think about the ones you have experienced. I'll read them here in case you can't see them very closely. The whys behind the have-tos. Why do I have to eat breakfast? Why can't I eat food I dropped on the floor? Why do I have to stand up and sit up straight? Why can't I swim after eating? Why do I have to turn down my music? Why do I have to go to bed so early? Science rules. You don't always have to. And then the glossary. So let's look at page 2. And remember, when you get to your actual slides in the discussion, a lot of times I'm referring to the page numbers, not the slide numbers. But here on page 2, read that first sentence, if you can, under the heading, the whys behind the have-tos. Most sections will have a heading that asks a question starting with, why do I have to? Or why can't I? Then the writer tells you the scientific evidence to explain why you have to. Now, in this video, you probably can't zoom, but when you're reading the actual book, you'll be able to make your screen bigger. I know this print is kind of small here. You might get some surprises, though. Maybe not everything you're told is supported by scientific evidence. Okay, let's go on to page 4. Let's read that sidebar and locate the words protein and carbohydrates. Again, I know it's really small here, so I'm going to help you a bit. It says, Those are where it's really dark. See, protein is the first one, and then carbohydrates is the second one. So the meaning, if we look in the glossary, carbohydrates comes first. Carbohydrates is one of the 3 types of food that the body breaks down to make energy. And then protein is the second to last one. It says protein is one of the 3 types of food that the body breaks down to make energy as well, right? So those have the same definition. Are you surprised that you're going to eat something for breakfast that isn't really breakfast food? Okay, as you read, notice that scientific evidence tells you what you really should do, and that is if you had read that sidebar. So let's go back to it. It says, if your breakfast cereal really tastes like an old shoe, that's disgusting, you might want to try a different brand or think outside the cereal box. That means try something different. Breakfast doesn't have to be breakfast food. It can be anything that gives you a good balance of protein and whole grain carbohydrates like whole wheat bread or waffles. Try peanut butter on toast. Or to make things even simpler, how about some cold pizza? Yes, that's right. Pizza and other dinner leftovers can be a-okay for breakfast too. That's why they said that. Like, it doesn't have to be breakfast food if it has the right combination of things to give you energy. As you read, notice what scientific evidence tells you what you really should do and what you don't always have to do. Remember that you can find definitions for words bold in the glossary. So sometimes parents or other adults might be doing things because it's what they're used to, not just because it's what science tells us. So keep that in mind and maybe pay attention to what the differences are. Okay? So now go to your book and start from the beginning.